How's it going, everybody? This is Cameron White with White Light Astrology, giving you guys your August 2019 horoscope for Leo, Sun, and Rising. Thank you guys so much for being here and liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. We are ending July and starting August off with the new moon in Leo and Mercury stationing direct, finally. Now, with both Mars and Venus and the Sun all in Leo, so either happy birthday or it must be nice to have all these planets in your first house. This is causing a lot of energy to be pulled into this way. I mean, the Sun's in Leo, Venus, Mars, everything's kind of loud and extravagant, especially for you guys since it's in your first house of yourself, of your personality, so you can be feeling more of yourself lately. While we have this new moon in Leo, I think that this is going to be a good time to reset your batteries and really kind of level yourself out with everything that's been going on, especially with the Mercury retrograde. However, as we have this new moon in Leo, I think this is a good time to kind of, again, like I just said, refresh your batteries, look at things in a new way, kind of come back to your authentic self a little bit more, get back more into your power, not so much, be a little bit more responsive rather than reactionary. Now, also on August 1st, that is when we're having Mercury stationed direct, and at this time, Mercury is in your 12th house, so while Mercury did station retrograde in your first house of yourself, so you might have had miscommunication problems, or the Mercury retrograde was just more effective or more hit on you, while Mercury's back in Cancer, where it's focused on, communicating an important message through, trust, through relating, and being able to empathize better with other people. Now, Mercury is in your 12th house, and the 12th house is about repressed and unacknowledged parts of yourself. It is an isolating house. And with Mercury stationing direct right there, this could just be a good time to have a conversation with yourself and check in with who you are and realize, what do you need? What do you need, not just what do you need, but expressing what you need, being able to realize that, attach words and phrases to that so you can better help yourself and so other people can better help you. Then as we jump ahead about 10 days later on August 11th, that is when we're going to have Mercury go back into Leo, and as it gets out of Cancer and you start to get a little bit less foggy-headed and a little bit more clear, Mercury going into your first house is where you're going to be able to express yourself a lot more naturally and a lot better. While Mercury is in Leo, the planet of communication, our mindset, how we think, and how we're organizing everything in our heads, while it's in the sign of Leo, it can be easy to be a little bit louder, it can be easier to have a more bolder, more harsh voice. However, I think from this Mercury retrograde, we've all learned to say what we need to say when it needs to be said, but also realize when it's not appropriate to speak up, and when it's not always, the best time to cause a fight, or to cause an argument, or to say things, to protect your ego or yourself. The right conversation will happen when the right time comes. But while Mercury comes back into Leo, this is the time to check in with yourself and to make sure that you're communicating from the most authentic and integral way possible. Also on August 11th, that is when we have Jupiter stationing direct in Sagittarius. And this is really important because Jupiter's been in Sagittarius for the majority of this, or actually for this whole year so far. And as Jupiter entered the sign of Sagittarius, it was, expanding, helping us, create, not necessarily create opportunities, but showing us the potential of what Jupiter and Sagittarius can do. Now, this has been in your 5th house of love and sex and romance and children and art and hobbies and creativity and being more expressive of your own personal nature. And as Jupiter's been flying through Sagittarius, it's been opening up space for this area. It's been, clearing out all of the clutter and giving you a fresh, fresh breeze going through there. And as Jupiter retrograded, this is the time to think about, what does this mean to you? What do you want to create in this area? What do you believe about these things? Because this is Jupiter. This is a philosophical planet. However, as Jupiter stations direct and starts to move forward, this is when Jupiter is going to start presenting more opportunities in this area. And that includes things like, if you're ready to have kids, This is a time to focus on your art, focus on what makes you happier. And I know that's a very broad statement, but Jupiter here in this 5th house is just opening up doors and creating an expansive space for you to be more creative, have more things, and enjoy yourself more with, the tools and the trades that help you enjoy yourself. Then on August 14th, that is when we have Venus conjoining the Sun, and you guys are going to totally feel this one. Venus is on the other side of the Sun right now in Leo, and it's going to conjoin the Sun and go Cazimi, where Venus kind of gets purified by fire and gets recharged up. And Venus is the planet of love and value, relationships, connecting, luxury, splurging. And as she's in Leo in your first house, you can be feeling this way, being able to express more of this, like, hey, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little bit more powerful. I need more validation. I need more attention. I need the spotlight on me right now. And as you know, that's not a bad thing, by the way. We all need validation. We all need that sense of, identity. However, as Venus conjoins the Sun, this is when Venus kind of steps its game up and it feels more valued. It feels more seen in the light, and it can finally get to, experience those emotions, experience that feeling, so it can better, so you can better be more expressive of yourself and feel more confident and in power with who you are. Then the next day, on August 15th, we have the full moon in Aquarius, and this is lighting up your 7th house. Full moons are when you're lighting up an axis between where the sun and the moon is, and while the sun's in Leo and it's either your birthday or it's in your first house, you can be more shown, is a good way to put it. Like the sun, the luminary is literally on top of you. You're being seen more, being more expressive, more in your natural, vitality. This full moon is when, lights up what we don't always see. Is this happening in your 7th house of relationships, of other people, individual relationships. And this is the moon in Aquarius. This is about having more solid reality on ideas and on the spirit of things, not necessarily so much on the concrete of things like Capricorn is. But this full moon is kind of like lighting up the dynamic between you being in the spotlight and also you having that ability to be shown, to be seen right now, and to be valued with, the sun, Venus, and Mars in your first house. This full moon in Aquarius is bringing the people and the individuals that you need right now in your life, maybe to present opportunities, to present different perspectives, and the relationship between where you're growing right now versus how other people are seeing that is going to show up on this full moon. Also on August 15th, that is when Mercury finally leaves shadow and it could start to finally tread new ground while it's in Leo. And this is nice because we could finally wrap up all of the Mercury retrograde stuff. We could start putting our minds into a new perspective. And while this is Leo in your first house, this is like, hey, speak up for the things you need to speak up about. Don't shelter or, contain your voice, but make sure when you're saying something, it's coming out of integrity, it's coming out of authenticity, and that it's not doing more damage than it needs to. Because sometimes the lion needs to roar, but you don't really have to roar that loud to get your point across. And then on August 18th, that is when Mars moves into Virgo. And this is a pretty big deal because by the end of this month, everything's going to be in Virgo. But while Mars, the planet of our action and our energy, our drive, our intentions, how we're doing things, why we're doing them, Mars is going into the Mercury-ruled sign of Virgo, where Virgo's more, focused on analytics, on detail, on, specific keywords and phrases. It's focused on the detail of things and crossing T's and dotting I's. It's about having the right verbiage. It's about having the right way to do things. It's kind of like, doing, it's like data. It's like hard data. It's just like numbers, and it's a lot of them, and it's all very specific and tiny. And Mars is a malefic planet. It is, a frustrating planet. It can cause us to be angry. It can cause us to act out and cause us to be frustrated and, just upset and overwhelmed. And while Mars does go into Virgo, this is positive where we can kind of take our energy and focus it a little bit better. But while it does go into your 2nd house, this is where you're going to start seeing more money issues possibly come up. The 2nd house is about what we own, what we physically possess, the money that we have, what we value. And as Mars goes through there, Mars heats things up, it separates, it cuts, it stings. And so while Mars is transiting your 2nd house, you could be seeing yourself focus more on your income, focusing more on what you have, and trying to organize it and detail it in the way that which you want to. But then as we move forward on August 21st, that is when Venus is also going to enter Virgo. And now Venus is the planet of love and value, relationships, all that good stuff. She's going into her sign of fall where, she can't do Venus things all the way. And it's kind of like while Venus is just trying to have a good time, while she's in Virgo, it's kind of like getting overwhelmed with all of the smaller detailed tasks that have to be done in order to have the fun event. It's kind of like, I DJ weddings for a living, and it's funny because, you see so many brides get so stressed about all the tiny details and they can't even enjoy their big day. That's kind of like Venus and Virgo. And while Venus is going into your 2nd house, this is positive where, both you're going to be spending some more money, but both also finding more money coming in. the big thing that I wanted to hit about with Venus entering Virgo is this is the time to where if you're going to focus on the details and get caught up in the smaller things, enjoy the process and, you know, don't just do a half-assed job. Make it look nice if you're going to go into that detail. And then on August 23rd, that is when we have the Sun also enter Virgo, and the light is going away from you guys, going into your second house of what you have, what you value, what you own, how much money you have, and all of that good stuff. And so while the Sun, Venus, and Mars are there, expect your focus to really go from, you know, feeling yourself and feeling better to focusing on what you have. Now, the next day on August 24th, that is when Venus conjoins Mars, and I bring this up because while Mars is in Virgo and it can be stressful trying to focus on all of these tinier little details, Venus is in Virgo where she can't even have fun because it's so overwhelmed with things. Venus conjoining Mars is kind of like, hey, if you're gonna, like, let Mars and Virgo do all the menial tasks that you have to handle or all of the organizing of your money or your possessions that you've got to do. Venus is just saying, like, you know, enjoy this while you can. Enjoy the smaller parts about it. Like, if you have to write, you know, a paper in calligraphy, like, make it look nice. Don't do like I said earlier, don't do a half-assed job. Enjoy the detail and enjoy the focus on being able to focus on something, because I think that that's going to alleviate a lot of the pressure that Mars and Venus and Virgo can bring. And then as we get to August 29th, that is when we have Mercury enter Virgo, and this is going to be a blessing for you guys, because while it can be a little bit stressful with Mars and Venus and Virgo focusing on your money, and, you know, Saturn's also in Capricorn right now, so this is helpful in making more money and being more constructive with things. Mercury, you know, the way that we think, the way that we project our voices, how we talk, how we, you know, where our mindset's at, as it goes into its home sign of Virgo, where Mercury can work, you know, efficiently and effectively, this is where Mercury can start to have a better mindset, a better grasp, being able to detail and organize and figure out what's going on with your money and the possession things that you need to get done. And so Mars and Venus there will be a little bit stressful and hectic, but Mercury is going to come through there and kind of help you get the right idea and the right mindset and the right track of mind to get organized in the efficient way that you want to. And then on August 30th, we end the month with the new moon in Virgo. And so, like I said, we have now the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all in Virgo in your second house, and there's a lot focused on here. And the good news is that this is going to be trining Saturn, trining Uranus. There's a lot of opportunity for building wealth, for getting things that you want and owning and possessing more of the specifics that you want. But this is also going hand in hand with, like, with all of this personal energy in here. It can be overwhelming. There can be money coming in and money going out at the same time. My biggest advice is with this new moon in Virgo, calm yourself down and get focused for just 1 minute on how you're going to organize and, you know, work through all of this stuff. And this isn't a bad month at all. This is just going to be, like, not fun and focused on something. Like, you're not just going to be, it's not like the Mercury retrograde where, like, I don't know what to feel and I'm confused about everything. It's like you don't have time to get confused. You got shit to focus on. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for being here and liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys, and I'll be seeing you next month.